Beto O'Rourke did a town hall on MSNBC, and he was pretty tough on his fellow Democrats.
Ask you about the Democratic Party today and what's going on with it. The latest polling by NBC and Wall Street Journal shows that a majority of 52% of people who went to college and graduated are Republicans. And a majority of people, again, 52% of people who didn't get to go to college and graduate are Republicans. Now, what happened to that cultural, that class shift? When I was growing up, most of my life, the Democratic Party was proudly the party of working people, the people that didn't get the breaks. Now the Democratic Party seems to be more reflective of people with educations, with a cultural kind of, elitism in some cases. What went wrong? What needs to be corrected if it does?
You know, I think the influence of PACs, of special interests, of corporations, has been profound, and it has disconnected office holders, candidates from the people that they want to serve. I'll give you an example.
So they pander to the rich?
Absolutely. And I'll give you an example. We were in Silverton, Texas, and I was talking about how 50% of rural Texas does not have access to broadband internet. And before I could finish my sentence, this gentleman stands up in the library in Silverton, and he says, I'm old enough to remember being in first grade in 1938 when Lyndon Baines Johnson, then a member of Congress, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the president, announced that they were going to electrify our community through the Rural Electrification Administration. They wanted me in first grade to be able to read by electric light, just like the kids could in the big cities around here. He said, you better believe every day after that, my dad was a yellow dog Democrat. In other words, Democrats used to show up for us in rural communities. They used to invest in people and communities in our day-to-day lives. I think there are too many who are too beholden to the special interests right now. We got to return to people.
Well said. Thank you.
That was a superb answer. And it's true. I mean, the Democrats, at a certain point in the 1980s, 1990s, around there, you had the Democrats decided we're going to do this strategy of triangulation, they call it. And Bill Clinton came along in 92 and he said, listen, I'm what we call a new Democrat. And that argument was cultural and economic. On the cultural front, the argument was, hey, listen, we're not like these hippie Democrats who are all about, free love and smoking weed and doing acid. And we represent a more Reagan-esque kind of cultural philosophy where we're going to wear our suit and tie, we're going to go to work, we're going to be good, upstanding family people, but also we're just not totally down the line with Republican economic beliefs. So the idea was, we're not like these crazy hippies who have gone too far left. We're new Democrats. And oh yeah, there's also a deal made with the devil on this front because we are going to get in bed with Wall Street to a certain extent. We are going to get in bed with big pharma and for-profit health insurance companies. And we are going to represent corporate America. Now, we're going to be better than the Republicans in the sense that we're not going to 100% throw in with what they want. Like, for example, Bill Clinton said the top marginal tax rate should be about 40%. That's what it was when he was president, 40%. Of course, Republicans come in like George W. Bush, and he slashed that down to 35%. So there are differences around the edges, and it's important to point those out. But the reality is there was a lot more working with Wall Street and corporate America than there should have been. And in the process of working with Wall Street and corporate America, they did flat out abandon the working class. I mean, look, Glass-Steagall. It was a direct result of getting rid of Glass-Steagall, which Bill Clinton did, which led to, or at least in part led to, the subprime mortgage crisis and the Great Recession, which came years later. NAFTA and all these trade deals. There's no way that a Democratic Party that was representing working people, there's no way that that party could have done NAFTA. No way. No way. It's because the new Democrats, the triangulating Democrats, said, oh, we're above the fray, we're centrist, that's what we are, we're moderate, we're reasonable, we listen to both sides and come away with the best conclusion. It's because of that philosophy that led them to abandon the working class. And what Beto O'Rourke is talking about there is going back to a time where Democrats should represent working people. Listen, the entire Democratic Party should be off of corporate PAC money. That's not even a question. And I actually think they'd fare better in elections if all of them did that. The most important way, and the way where you can raise money and not be corrupt, is if you take small dollar donations from working people. Now, I get it. Sometimes you're going to have a fundraising shortfall when you do that. There's no doubt about that. But I would also, at every opportunity possible, brag about the fact that all we do is take money in small dollar donations, so we are not corrupt. We are here to represent you. Anybody who is taking corporate PAC money, anybody who is taking billionaire money, they're not going to represent you. They're going to represent those special interests. You are my special interest. The public is my special interest. I'm here to actually do my job, which is, as a representative, represent you. Not represent Eli Lilly, not represent Honeywell or Boeing or Raytheon, not represent Goldman Sachs. I'm here to represent you. So I think that Beto O'Rourke is 100% right. And it's time for all the Democrats to stop taking corporate PAC money. And yes, start representing working people. By the way, the long-term solution is not just, hey, don't take the shittier forms of campaign finance. The long-term solution is we need to get reform where we get private money out of the system and we have publicly financed elections. That's the long-term answer. But in the short term, stop taking that corporate PAC money, stop taking billionaire money, represent working people, represent unions, represent the overwhelming will of the majority. I mean, again, we're one of few people who point this out, but when you go issue for issue, the left is actually overwhelmingly popular. You name the issue and we have a majority with us. There's a few exceptions, but not many. One of them is like the death penalty, for example, still liked in the U.S., favored over not having the death penalty. But on virtually every other issue, the left has a giant lead. So why not have politicians that represent that philosophy, that represent that ideology? And as a final point, listen, I like it when people like Beto bash other corporate Democrats, because what that does is it shows people, hey, listen, I'm not just playing for a team. I'm not just, a rank partisan. I'm here to actually represent you. And one of the ways to show that is, listen, I'm not a team player. Fuck the Democrats that are corrupt too. I don't like the corrupt Republicans, and I don't like the corrupt Democrats. And, take Richard Ojeda, another great example. In his ads, he called out Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi. And what that does is it shows people, listen, this ain't about party. This is about the ideas and the policy substance. And here's how you know that's the case. I'm going to go after the people that I'm going to have to now work with when I go to Washington. And yes, I would rather have somebody doing that. And then when they get to Washington, they say, listen, I have a mandate from the people. This isn't about playing for your team. I don't give a shit about the tribe. No, I have a mandate from the people, and we're going to do what the people want. And it's important to be able to bring that voice to Washington as opposed to the voice of special interests.